Live and afternoon drive from 5 to 7 p.m. with an immediate encore presentation from 7 to 9 p.m. When all was said and done, was more said than done. 1 year later, are there fractures in LA's black-brown political partnership? And where do we go from here? Don't miss The Tape, 1 year later. Only on KBLA Talk 1580, Monday, October 9th, live from 5 to 7 p.m. with an immediate encore presentation from 7 to 9 p.m. We've got a lot to talk about.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not to unsettle you. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in to First Things First with the Queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
Good morning. Today is Thursday, October 5th. It's 6:04 in the morning on the West Coast. It's time to rise and shine, offer a morning of prayer and gratitude, prepare to make this world a better place. My name is Ed Sanders. Today I'm standing in for Dominique DiPrima. This is First Things First. We are live, coming to you from Leimert Park in the Crenshaw District in Los Angeles. Today is going to be a fantastic day, fam. It is scheduled to be close to 92 degrees here in Los Angeles. We are expecting a little bit of a heat wave over the next couple days. It's a nice October surprise, as they say in politics. And we've got a lot to cover. There is a lot going on in this country. Today we're going to cover a little bit about the major headlines. We've got a couple special guests to call in over the 3 hours that I'll be with you this morning. It's going to be exciting. Again, I'm filling in for Dominique this morning, getting settled in the chair. Miles Lowe, who's always with us here in studio, is helping me get squared away. Miles, it's been fun. This is exciting. I'm looking forward to today. How are you doing this morning?
Man, I'm blessed, man. Thanks for coming in and filling in. We appreciate it. This is a surprise to everybody on YouTube. I know they're gonna look like that's not Dominique in the chair, man. But we appreciate you today. How you feeling?
Man, I'm fantastic. As I start to look at what's happening in this country and certainly how it impacts the world, I always try to think how it impacts us. And when I say us, I mean the African American community, both here in Los Angeles, throughout the state, and throughout this country. And there's a lot coming out of D.C. these days. I think most of the world is trying to cover what is probably the top story. The House Republicans are in full chaos and disarray after ousting Speaker Kevin McCarthy 2 days ago. After the vote to continue the spending appropriations from the federal government, a few Republicans partnered with the Democrats to get that passed, and immediately the hardline House Republicans, the Freedom Caucus, the MAGA Republicans ousted their speaker. Kevin McCarthy is a Republican. The Republican Party controls the House, and they have thrown the national political scene into chaos. What we learned yesterday is that there are two members of that caucus that are vying for the speakership. The House Majority Leader, Steve Scalise, who's actually dealing with health issues. We'll see how that impacts it. And then, the Judiciary Committee Chair, Jim Jordan, out of Ohio, who is a Freedom Caucus founder and complete MAGA Republican. we'll watch how this plays. I look at this as other people's business. We'll see what the Republicans come up with. Ultimately, I see the administration moving forward with its work. The Biden administration announced two things yesterday. One, they're forgiving another $9 billion in student loans. And so I know we've talked about that a number of times on the show, what student debt means to those that are making their way through the middle class. Relieving some of that debt helps to, one, put money back into the pockets, but put money into the communities that need it most. In an interesting bit of news, the Biden administration waived 26 federal laws to allow border wall construction in South Texas. This sounded much like a Donald Trump promise, but Sergio Mayorkas, the Homeland Secretary, says, there's presently an acute and immediate need to construct physical barriers and roads in the vicinity of the Southwest area. And so the Biden administration moving forward in that regard. For us here in California, later on today in San Francisco, we will see, there will be a memorial for the late Senator Dianne Feinstein. It'll be at San Francisco City Hall, where she first slept onto the national scene as mayor of San Francisco. Expected to speak there are Vice President Kamala Harris, Mayor London Breed, the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and others. And then, from a humanistic standpoint, we're following the 75,000 Kaiser Permanente workers that will be entering day 2 of the strike by healthcare workers. It's being termed as the biggest strike by healthcare workers in U.S. history. And then, ultimately, we're looking to see how that outcome goes. As folks come out of COVID and the country moves forward, we're definitely interested in making sure that our first line in terms of healthcare workers are being taken care of and appreciated for all that they've did for us during the pandemic. Miles, at some point, I'm going to need you to give me 6 numbers. This thing has gone on for too long. The Powerball jackpot, is continuing on. It's $1.4 billion. There was no winner last night. So we're going to play with this through the day because while I'm in here this morning after Saturday night, I intend to be somewhere in the Caribbean sipping Mai Tais. We
missed Sahara Ali yesterday. We should have used her to pick some numbers for
There
us.
it is. We're going to have to get her back online. So at any rate, a lot going on. And I think the last piece of news and one is something I always keep track of. Former President Donald Trump, his trial is continuing. It sounds like he's had enough. He's flying out. I don't think he'll be in attendance for the proceedings today. But New York Attorney General Letitia James is continuing her case there. The former president is accused of inflating and overvaluing his real estate properties in a fraud scheme so that he could obtain better loan terms and tax perks. So looking forward to see how that unfolds. When we come back, Miles, I want to pick your brain. When I get started in the morning after I go through the front page, I tend to look at the sports page. And there's a lot going on in sports. We've got in baseball, the Major League playoffs are moving forward. The NFL will start another game tonight, and they're off to a great start after a first month. College football is in full bloom. We've got USC and UCLA in action. Want to get your takes there. And then, what we really love is the NBA is coming back. Tonight is the first day of preseason. And the Lakers are in action tomorrow night, and so want to get your outlook on what we're doing. Back after the break.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
What's up? I'm Danelle Riley, FAMU alumni and creator of the HBCU Culture Shop. I am so proud of my new partnership with Black Beyond Measure and Target. They help me elevate community pride with my HBCU designs and continue to support Black creators and entrepreneurs with Target HBCU challenges, scholarship programs, and campus collaborations. Let's Let's come together this homecoming season and beyond. Shop my brand and discover other Black-owned products at target.com/blackbeyondmeasure.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa."
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now, you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears, thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
Walk to save lives. Join the American Heart Association's Los Angeles Heart and Stroke Walk, Sunday, October 22nd at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Team up with friends and family and walk to end heart and stroke. Every step you take and every dollar raised will help save lives and make our community a healthier place for all. Learn more and sign up for free at heartwalkla.org. Sponsored by Optum, UCLA Health, Providence, Keck Medicine of USC, and Dignity Health.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Good morning again, and we're back with First Things First with Dominique DiPrima. Again, my name is Ed Sanders. I'm filling in for the incomparable Dominique DiPrima this morning. It is 6:14. If you are moving and need to get in the car, we stay with us as we continue on this morning. I opened up with top news stories, and as we start to get in the day, I always start my day with sports, and I take a look at what's happening. Sports means a lot to me. It means a lot to the water cooler talk in the office, and so as I look at what's happening, Miles, you've been great. I wanted to get Ray Richardson to join us this morning. Ray is the KBLA, as everyone on the listening to us this morning knows. He is the leading sports voice and analyst for unapologetically progressive KBLA. Ray, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Ed. Good to be with you.
And thanks for calling in. So a lot going on in the sports world. I started top of the show with sort of a snapshot of what's going on in Washington, D.C., but in the sports world, we've got Major League Baseball is in full bloom. The playoffs are there. The NFL has just finished its first month. College football is roaring along, and the NBA is kicking off. Give me your first takes on Major League Baseball. You a baseball fan?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I am.
So it looks like the first round is done. They're moving out of the wild card into the divisional. They started a 12-team format 2 years ago, and last night there were 4 sweeps that advanced all 4 of the brackets forward. The Rangers swept the Rays. They'll go on to play the Baltimore Orioles. The Minnesota Twins swept the Toronto Blue Jays. Their gift is the reigning World Series champion Houston Asterix. The Arizona Diamondbacks knocked off the Milwaukee Brewers, and they will get to take on our home team, LA Dodgers, and then the Phillies, who beat the Marlins, will get the Atlanta Braves. What's your outlook for the Dodgers? How do you feel? Do we have a shot here?
Yes, they do. I think they were in position to take some time off this week. I think they did need a little bit of a break since they clinched the division pretty early. And getting that first-round bye will help them kind of retool and refocus and tighten up some things defensively and maybe even offensively as well. They match up with Arizona very well. They were 8-5 against them. And they've won the last 5 games against Arizona in the regular season, but that doesn't mean anything in the postseason. History says that you cannot really use the regular season as a barometer, and the Dodgers found that out last year when they played San Diego in the playoffs and got bumped. And they dominated the Padres throughout the whole regular season, so they cannot afford to look look back on what they did in the regular season too much. But I think this is a little bit better team than what people imagined they would be. They thought this might be a rebuilding year for the Dodgers, but Dave Roberts is getting credit for perhaps doing his best job as a manager and keeping a team on the right path and getting through what people thought would be a rebuilding year into a team that won 100 games. So it's going to be a good series. They play Saturday. That'll be game one at Dodger Stadium. I'm sure they watched the Arizona-Milwaukee series. There was some surprise about how that series ended. Milwaukee was at home, and Arizona swept both games, so they were pretty impressive. The thing the Dodgers may have to be concerned with is how the Arizona bullpen pitched. In those two games, they did not allow a run in 9 innings of work. So the Arizona bullpen was very impressive in those two games. So if the Dodgers do get past their starters, will they be able to still produce against their bullpen? That could be a number one objective for them starting on Saturday. But it's going to be a good matchup. And the Dodgers do have home field advantage, which will help them. And, let's see what happens. But they've got some time to get ready for them now, and should be a good series.
No, I agree. I think Clayton Kershaw will take the mound for them in game one. Game two, I didn't catch who's there, but that becomes one of the big question marks as pitcher Julio Urias is no longer with the team, and so it feels like the Dodgers are down a starter going into the playoffs. Hopefully that doesn't impact the rotation too much.
I don't think it will. The Julio Urias situation will be a factor for them at some point, but they've had a couple of younger players that have stepped up in their rotation. They had to make that decision with Urias because when you get involved in a domestic violence case, and we don't know all the details, but some of the details that have started to come out were not good, and it reflected very bad on him, and it could have reflected bad on the organization if they kept him. So they made the right move in moving on from him, and it hasn't really affected them as much. They still finished strong. They had a fantastic September, a very strong August in spite of that. So I think they're still in good hands.
So, Ray, it sounds like you're flying off to Abu Dhabi for the opening preseason games tonight and tomorrow. Is that true? We need to put in and do a remote show. The NBA kicks off its preseason today. The Minnesota Timberwolves, Dallas Mavericks in Abu Dhabi for a preseason game. I'm excited. NBA season's kicking off. The Lakers are in action Friday night against the Golden State Warriors. What's your take on sort of the outlook of the NBA season?
I think a lot of people are going to be surprised at the level of play from some teams that you really wouldn't expect to be competitive. A lot of people are looking at a very revised Orlando Magic team, a very improved Detroit Pistons team, a Phoenix team that now may have one of the better backcourts in the league right now. They've got some players there that can compete in the West, and seeing the trade that happened with Portland and Milwaukee, Damian Lillard going to the Bucks is going to make the Bucks an Eastern power again. You're looking at really only two teams, maybe three in the East that will be considered a contender throughout the year. Milwaukee, Boston, and maybe Miami. Although there was some major frustration in Miami about them not getting Damian Lillard. They really wanted him, and that's where Damian wanted to go. But for some reason, Miami could not put a package together that impressed Portland enough to make that trade. I was one of the people who thought that if Damian Lillard goes to Miami is instantly a top contender for the Eastern Conference title. Right now, you can't say that. The Bucks really have a formidable lineup now. When you put a guard like Lillard together with Giannis Antetokounmpo, who probably is the best agile big man in the league, you've got some parts to work with to make that team a true contender. That's in the East. Now, in the West, you got several teams that can really make a run for this, and I'm really interested to see how the Lakers get off to a good start. They've got a team now that you don't have to worry about putting the pieces together and getting all the pieces out together right now. they've got their starting lineup already set, with the exception of maybe who's going to start at center, and that's not really a major concern for them. They can easily put somebody in there, either Jared Vanderbilt or Christian Wood. But their first four players, LeBron, AD, Austin Reeves, and D'Angelo Russell, they are set. And when you've got a set lineup that you know you're going to be working with, that speaks volumes for your preparation in training camp, the preseason, and getting ready for the regular season. I'm looking forward to seeing how Darvin Ham works with this unit. He worked magic last year. He had so much stress and so much drama to deal with last year with the roster not being built right. Now he's got everything in place. Looking forward to seeing how his coaching skills really come forward with a team now that's ready-made to coach. And it's a veteran team. And when you got a bunch of veterans that are all on the same page, man, that's a recipe for success. So the Lakers are in good position to make a run, I think, for the West.
No, I think that's right. Health is always going to be the major concern with them. And on that point, you start with Anthony Davis, but also LeBron James, who is what, entering his 21st season. And so you look at that. It's the same sort of issue with the Clippers. You hope that Kawhi and Paul George can get healthy and remain healthy to make them competitive. But you're right. I think the West, holds a number of teams that could be surprising. You expect the Sacramento Kings to play in, and the Warriors are retooling for a run as well. And then, you've got the young guns in Minnesota and Oklahoma City, frankly. All this chasing the Denver Nuggets, who no one seems to talk about, but they're the reigning NBA champions. I love it for the storylines, right? The NBA is always going to give you a number of different storylines. You referenced the big trade with Damian Lillard. When you see players at the top of the league, at the top of the ticket, who command the media attention, but also command the huge contracts that they well deserve. It really makes a lot of sense to see how that might impact. Damian Lillard, to your point earlier, moving to Milwaukee, in my view, makes the Bucks sort of the leading contender for the title, and we'll see how that goes. Pushing forward, NFL, Thursday night game, we've got Justin Smith and the Chicago Bears taking on the Commanders tonight. Football fans, what's your take there for tonight, and what's been your outlook on the first month of the season there?
That is not the kind of game I think the NFL would like to have on a Thursday night lineup. Justin Fields with the Bears, and the Commanders are 1-3. Bears are 0-4. Somebody's going to win a game tonight, but it's not the kind of attractive game that's going to make people flock to their TV sets.
Yeah.
Unless you're just a diehard NFL fan, you want to see a game. I'm really interested to see the Commanders, though. Although the Commanders are 1-3, they've been very competitive against teams, and they have turned that franchise around. Shout out to Magic Johnson for being one of the part owners there. They've got their fan base re-energized. They got people caring about the team again. That's a good story. Even though they're sort of in a rebuilding mode, they've got their fan base back. They've got a pretty competitive defense as well. And their offense is in the hands of the guy who's at Kansas City for a long time, Eric Bieniemy, as their offensive coordinator. And he's on a mission to prove that, he didn't need Andy Reid's coattail to hang on to in Kansas City. He's getting a chance to run his own team and almost be like a head coach there. So there's a lot of excitement about Washington. That might be the only real reason to watch this game tonight, is to see the development of the Washington Commanders and to see how Eric Bieniemy is running that offense. That's and right. See a team that's on the rise. I mean, that might be the only look for me to watch that game.
Look, that's always the reason. I mean, we look at Eric Bieniemy as a prospective head coach. He should be a head coach. And that is always one of the storylines to follow with the NFL. How are we doing with African-American head coaches? But also how we're doing with African-American quarterbacks. You referenced Justin Field of the Bears, and, sadly he's struggling this year. There have been a couple quarterbacks that are doing well. C.J. Stroud down in Houston, among others, Jalen Hurts in Philly. You know, I when I look at the college game, you know, I see the top quarterbacks in the college game: Shedeur Sanders, Caleb Williams, Penix in Washington, and I'm bolstered by the potential for more African American quarterbacks to make their way into the NFL. What's been your take there?
Well, for all the heat the NFL has gotten for its diversity issues, the one thing they can really take some credit on is the emergence and the development of black quarterbacks in the league. In week 1, there were 14 teams that started a black quarterback. That has never happened before. That number has never been that high. And when I researched that, I looked back on that, and I said, wow, that is really a sign of major progress in the league. I can remember a time when teams didn't even want a black quarterback because they thought that we couldn't play the position. They thought we didn't have the necessities to run a team. They thought we just, were not mentally or skillful enough to play that position. It is so grateful and happy to know that we are way beyond those times. I mean, 30 years later, you have to really look hard to find a team that does not have a black quarterback. And the college game is sort of being the training ground for that. Although I still have an issue with the way colleges are playing their guys sometimes, I still think they want their guys to be running a little bit too much, and you don't get a chance to see their true potential as a overall well-rounded quarterback. But that's the way the college game is going, and to some degree the NFL is copying that. You got to have somewhat of a mobile quarterback to survive these days, and the majority of teams out there now in the NFL are doing that. But it is giving opportunities to brothers to play this position, and that's a good thing. You can't really knock that.
So we're seeing evolution of the sport, evolution of the position, which, when you tie sports and the role back to, African-American culture, we can see so much in the way of change, not just from the sports world, but how it impacts us, right? I think how we view ourselves, and then, in sort of the macro world, how others view us. And quarterback is one of those positions. When we come back from the break, I want to explore something with you, and it really has to do with what is the pipeline to the college, what is the pipeline to NFL, and how we can impact that there. We'll be back in a few moments. Thanks for listening.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Good morning and thank you for joining us on this Thursday. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. 400 more Ford workers in Michigan are being told not to report to work today due to the UAW strike. Ford says the layoffs are for 350 employees at the Livonia transmission plant and 50 employees at the Sterling axle plant, as those factories make parts for the Chicago assembly plant. Michael Jackson's estate is settling a $1 million legal dispute. The estate claims a man named Jeffrey Phillips allegedly stole $1 million worth of property from his California home in the chaos after the singer's death in 2009. The estate says Phillips took hard drives that may contain unreleased performances and concert footage, as well as laptops, iPods, DVDs, and more. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Lowe's knows fall is the perfect time for outdoor projects. Right now, you can keep your yard looking its best and save. Take care of leaves with leaf blowers starting at just $89.98. Lowe's knows home improvement. While supplies last, see store for details.
Is this the title? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The Dodgers will play Arizona in the National League Divisional Playoffs. Arizona swept Milwaukee yesterday in the best-of-3 wildcard round. The Dodgers and Arizona kick off their best-of-5 series on Saturday at Dodger Stadium. The Rams saw something at Wednesday's practice they hadn't seen in a while. Wide receiver Cooper Kupp caught some passes from quarterback Matthew Stafford. It was Kupp's first full practice since he went down with a hamstring injury in August. Barring any complications, Kupp could be in the lineup for Sunday's home game against Philadelphia. LeBron James said Anthony Davis is now the face of the Lakers franchise. Lakers fans would rather see Davis stay healthy. Davis has missed 114 games over the past 3 seasons. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are now in Big Tobacco's Fantasyland. Welcome. It's a healthier world where they want you to believe that vaping makes quitting cigarettes a breeze. Never mind the evidence that vaping leads to using both. And if you're younger, even better, teens who vape are 3 times likelier to use cigarettes. In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, the deadliest industry is your friend.
Big Tobacco's idea of smoke-free is a dangerous fantasy for us all. See reality at undo.org.
Walk to save lives. Join the American Heart Association's Los Angeles Heart and Stroke Walk, Sunday, October 22nd at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Team up with friends and family and walk to end heart and stroke. Every step you take and every dollar raised will help save lives and make our community a healthier place for all. Learn more and sign up for free at heartwalkla.org. Sponsored by Optum, UCLA Health, Providence, Keck Medicine of USC, and Dignity Health.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now, you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears. Thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
To some, this might sound like a typical family dog. But at Dog Chow, we know that for a veteran suffering from PTSD, this could be the sound of life-saving therapy.
Thanks, Betty.
That's why we've made it our mission to connect every military hero in need with a canine hero of their own. To learn about the simple ways you can help Dog Chow in our mission, visit dogchow.com/veterans.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're live from Leimert Park. This is Ed Sanders. I'm filling in for Dominique DiPrima. You are listening to KBLA 1580, and this is First Things First. I am talking with Ray Richardson. Ray, you can catch him on Out of Bounds Saturdays at 7 p.m. on KBLA. We've been talking a little bit about the sports landscape, and as we move forward, I always want to turn this and look at it from a more political lens. And we were talking about the evolution of the NFL. We're talking about the evolution of quarterbacks. I want to take a look at the opportunity for African Americans. I know a number of young men in high school that are playing the sport of football. And as they start to look towards opportunities for college, it had me sit down last night and take a look, really what's out there. Ray, the NCAA Division I Council met Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and they are suggesting or making proposals, a few changes to the transfer portal window, as well as proposing some framework for NIL. The NCAA transfer portal and the advent of the NIL, name, image, and likeness deals is transforming the sport. I caught a quote from Deion Sanders a couple weeks back where he was talking as a college coach, the desire to not necessarily recruit, or how difficult it would be for high school kids to land a scholarship on a top team. As a coach with the transfer portal, I think they're looking for more experienced and candidates to make the team, and you can get that from either other teams, junior college, but not necessarily from high school. What concerned me most about that is starting to understand what these two new entities might do to the prospects of future college athletes. And so let me start with a couple stats. According to the NCAA in 2022, 55% of Division I basketball student athletes are black, and 48% of Division I football players are black. And that's of note because those are the two major revenue-producing college sports. And so when you talk about the transfer portal, when you talk about the NIL, it really has a focus on those two sports. And, very particularly, as you can see, African-American student athletes. Politically here, Senator Bradford, a couple years ago, introduced the Fair Play to Play Act, and that started to kickstart the NIL process in California. It allowed collegiate athletes to license their name, image, and likeness, and allow them to earn money from sponsorships and endorsements. Today, when we look, the valuation of a college player it's its own economy now. I think you can look at Caleb Williams. I think we're all starting to see him on commercials, but I think some outlets have him valued at something like $2.6 million for the year. Shedeur Sanders, the son of Deion Sanders at Colorado, is up there. But as a quarterback at a major university, you can expect something close to $1 million, or they're valuing that position at something like $1 million a year, which is transformative change. And we talked about the roles evolving. What this really is an opportunity for more young people to capitalize on their skill sets. Ray, what's been your take on the transfer portal, on NIL? Do you view it as a good thing? What are some of the issues that you might see in this?
Well, with the NCAA making these adjustments with that rule, and and also they're tinkering with the NIL, I hate to say this, but this sounds like they're trying to react to what Deion is doing in Colorado. He has probably taken advantage of the portal more than any coach in the history of this system. Keep in mind now, the NCAA, they're the ones that implemented this transfer portal rule. They're the ones that brought this system into place a few years ago. I'm not sure how long ago they did it, but it's just really starting to take off the last few years. Deion has been the coach that has probably taken the most advantage of it, and yet he's been the one that's been talked about more than anybody, and yet he's only doing what the system allowed him to do, and any coach has done. He's just done it more than the rest of them, but it's brought more attention to him because the team got off to a good start, and the NIL factor in this, you're seeing guys, you're seeing them with some resources that you normally would not see among college athletes. These fancy cars, the bling bling, the fancy clothes, the TV commercials. This is definitely a new era of NCAA athletics, and some people may be having a hard time making that adjustment. Now, they're not pointing fingers at what Deion is doing because he's not the only coach out here doing it, but I would almost be assured that his rapid success is a byproduct of this adjustment with this rule. Now, the transfer portal, they're only shrinking the window down from like 60 days to 45 days for a kid to make a decision to leave a school. So they're really not taking it away. They're just giving you a shorter time to make a decision. So
I think they're reducing leverage.
Too many people.
Right? So like it's a leverage piece, and to your point about the with the shorter window, it when I say leverage, the ability to transfer from one university to another gives power to the student, and it can be an empowering moment. It allows for a student that may have been a highly rated high school player or highly rated player not getting as much time to transfer to a location and play immediately, or at least compete for time. And that sort of leverage, I think is what they're trying to get back a hold of. I mean, when I look at, college universities, it has almost always been about hoarding talent, controlling talent, and it produces some ugliness. You were talking about Deion Sanders. I also want to throw out that Lincoln Riley at SC took great advantage of the transfer portal as well.
Yes, he did.
I think you get, when you look at a situation like that, who takes any coach, particularly a well-known coach that takes over a program and has that name ID and can attract. And when I say take over a program that had been failing. USC, Colorado were sort of both at the bottom of the barrel when those two coaches took over. You're going to get that sort of change through the transfer portal. So at any rate, more thoughts on how do we, and in a few moments we'll go to break, but I want to consider from the high school prospect, a senior in high school looking at universities, and if you're not a 5-star, what do? How do you compete for those scholarships?
Well, that's a situation that's probably going to be ongoing for years to come, and it's been going on already for a long time. If your athletic skill level dictates pretty much the level of recruiting interest you're going to have. And every Power 5 conference, every Power 5 school, they can't take every good player out there. They're going to have to take a certain amount of players because they got too many players to recruit. So there's enough schools. There's 131 Division I schools out there that play football. Even though they may not all be in the Power 5 conference. If he can't get to a Power 5 school, he's got a lot of good other options to go to get a full ride scholarship. And I know there's a lot of attention placed on these Power 5 programs, but man, there's still a ton of other schools out there, that you can take your talents to if you're good enough. So the high school kids today, they've got a lot of resources to make decisions on their college education and their potential pro future. They shouldn't be worried about not getting a scholarship at one school when there's maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 other schools that can offer them the same thing. So this is really a good time for being a 4-star, 5-star high school athlete. You've got a lot of good choice and a lot of good options to look at when you get ready to go to college. This is a good time for high school sports.
Agreed. Ray, we're going to take a quick break. You listen to KBLA 1580. This is First Things First. We'll be back in a moment.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
those stomach issues ruined your birthday?
You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa?
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
After a big dinner, my nighttime heartburn would keep me up. I'd be taking antacid after antacid all night long. But then I tried Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day blocks my frequent heartburn for a full 24 hours, giving me one-and-done heartburn relief. Without heartburn keeping me up, I could have a restful night's sleep.
Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
A sense of peace. A place to kick back and put down roots. A lasting legacy. However you define home, at City National, we're committed to helping you get there with our City National Ladder Up Home Loan Program. Find the full benefits at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National Bank, here for our clients and communities. Ladder Up program is available only in select areas. Terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS ID 536994.
Do you have both Medi-Cal and Medicare?
If so, the new LA Care plan called Medicare Plus can help you get the most out of your health plan for $0.
LA Care provides personalized service to Angelinos like us.
Plus, it gives us access to doctors and specialists across Los Angeles County.
For zero cost, we get access to full benefits.
From vision coverage,
in-home support services,
to prescription drug coverage,
and a quarterly over-the-counter allowance,
plus personal equipment,
meal programs,
a gym membership,
and so much more.
For more than 25 years,
LA Care has provided Angelinos with access to quality health care at an affordable cost.
For our families,
our seniors,
our community,
it's a plus.
It's a plus
for all of us.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning again. You're listening to First Things First. My name is Ed Sanders. I'm filling in for Dominique DiPrima this morning. I'm talking with Ray Richardson. We've been talking a little bit about the sports landscape this morning. As you're listening in to us, I invite you to call 1-800-920-1580. We want to hear from you. This is talk radio, KBLA style, and it has to inform what we're doing as a community. Ray, folks can follow us on Facebook. They can follow us on X, Instagram, YouTube, where we're live. But more importantly, you can download the app. I find for myself, I listen to KBLA most often on the app, and I can catch it anywhere and catch up on the shows that I have missed live. Ray, we're talking sports. We're talking the landscape of sports. In 2018, the Supreme Court cleared the way for online gambling and sports betting to take place, and thus far maybe half the states in the country are walking down that road. We've been talking about the NIL, we've been talking about the transfer portal as a way to impact college sports. This is sort of the third leg that is impacting the sports world, and it's online gambling. Folks are watching, sports games and doing, their fantasy football is really what's driving it. There's a gambling segment there. But online gambling has typically been the purview of Las Vegas, but now it's stretching out. What are you seeing and what's been the commentary and impact that you've been taking in on it?
Well, the NFL is in a very bad situation here. They are uncomfortable with this emergence of online betting, because the NFL promotes betting to their fan base, and they make it a big deal. They want people to gamble on the games, but they don't want their players to do it.
Right.
So they've got to figure out a way to try to convince their players that this is not what they want to see happen. This is not what they want. And there have been some players last year. There were 3 guys on Detroit's roster that got suspended for almost a whole year for gambling in the locker room, placing bets in the locker room. So the NFL had to really make some really quick adjustments on that rule. Number one, they don't want their players gambling anyway at all, but they certainly don't want to see them doing it on team facility property. But see, these guys, for the sake of competition and for just some excitement, guys want to play some casual bets, every now and then. But the NFL just cannot afford to have these guys placing bets on their own team. on their own performances and stuff like that. That's where you really get into a really muddy and conflict of interest situation. You just don't want to see guys betting on their own sport and their own team.
And even more so.
The NFL's got to figure that out.
There have been some recent controversies with referees and umpires. I immediately am thinking of the his name is eluding me, but he refereed the LA Lakers Boston Celtics game and was rumored to be a Boston fan. There's been some controversies with the referees, and to your point about what the sports leagues want to see, they also have to protect sort of the integrity of the game. And I think they're seeing the issue of and it's not bad calls, but it looks like referees are putting their thumb on the scale, and in some cases motivated by either team allegiance or in some cases payments. And so that's another big piece that we want to look at.
I really feel the referee situation is very rare. You don't see a lot of that, and so I think the leagues can overcome that situation. Their main concern, and this is even happening on the college level as well. There were several players at Iowa State University that got caught up in gambling, and they got suspended, and some of them were actually kicked off the team. This is a serious problem for sports in general. The promotion of gambling is such a high activity out there for people, and there's money to be made off this, but you've got to figure out a way to minimize this activity among the players, because if they start getting involved in gambling and then the position of somebody twisting their arm to maybe throw a game, or
then the whole really system falls down.
Yeah, you're really running the risk of integrity, like you mentioned, and I think that's an area where all these sports leagues are trying to get a grasp on before it gets out of hand.
That's right. Ray, thank you. Look, we are going to take a quick break. We'll come right back. We'll finish up our conversation with Ray Richardson. You're listening to KBLA Talk Radio.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello?
Man, where are you? I thought you were coming.
I can't. I'm in bed with the flu.
The flu? Whoa. Grandma's about to crowd surf. Man, I'll call you back.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is safe, effective, and you can get it at the same time as your COVID-19 vaccine. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Hey, everything okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Honey. Hey, I'm here for you. Tell me about school today.
When kids can't find the right words, music can help them sound it out. Talk to the kids in your life about their emotional well-being. Find tools and resources at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
The Chase Ink Business Premier Card is made for people who make things happen, like me. I'm Sam, founder and CEO of Manifest, a product design company that makes everyday products designed smarter. I get 2.5% cash back on purchases of $5,000 or more, plus unlimited 2% cash back on all other purchases, which helps us make more smart ideas into a brilliant reality.
The Ink Business Premier Card. Learn more at chase.com/business premier. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Account subject to credit approval. Restrictions and limitations apply. Cards are issued by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank. Any member FDIC.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
We're back with First Things First. It is Thursday, October 5th. It is 6:56. We are kicking off Thursday morning. I've been talking with Ray Richardson. My name is Ed Sanders. I'm filling in for Dominique DiPrima. We've been jumping around in the sports world, talking about its impact, but more importantly, its impact to our community. We've lamented some of the changes in the sports world, but at the same time, they create a lot of different opportunities. This weekend, Ray, the Pac-12 is in its sort of final season here. A number of teams are departing. In fact, 10 of the 12 teams departing to different conferences. One of the rivals that is new to the Pac-12, Utah, to further the NIL conversation, it has an NIL deal with its players where they have authorized leases to the team, the 2024 Ram Bighorn 1500 pickup truck. So if you're playing for Utah, they've arranged for NIL deals. What's your take on something like that? Do you think we're going to see more of that? Does it and what does it take to make something like that happen?
That's a situation where you're going to have people talking about unfair advantages at some point. Every school may not have that kind of resource to throw in as an NIL incentive. That's the first time I heard about that, but man, that opens up a lot of doors to some speculation and some second guessing and some criticism, because every school doesn't have that kind of benefit to offer their student athletes. I mean, if they can afford it, more power to them. But I'm just waiting for the day to come forward when somebody raises a flag and say, "Hey, I cannot do that. Why should they do it and we can't?" And I'm really feeling that we're going to be coming to that point where some of the schools who don't have the multi-million-dollar budgets, like a Utah or USC or Colorado or Texas or Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, those schools, you got several tiers of NCAA football, and those schools on those second and third tiers, I can see them at some point rising up and saying, "Hey, what about us? How come we can't do that? And if we do it, are we allowed to do it?" I just think it's, we're going down a path that I think is going to challenge the NCAA's ethics committee a lot to see how much they can get away with stuff like this.
And ultimately, how much they can actually enforce. I think, there's a lot of conversation about, how relevant the NCAA is going to be in the coming years. A lot of what they are there to regulate is really being opened up when you start talking about amateur athletics and the opportunity to make money off of sponsorships or likenesses. Ray, we've reached the top of the hour. Quick question for you. I know folks will be tuning in on Saturday at 7 p.m. I want to thank you for your time today. Anything you want to leave us with as we take a quick break?
Yeah, I was going to make a quick comment. There's no such thing as amateur athletics anymore in the NCAA. We can kiss that notion goodbye.
Indeed. Ray, thanks for joining me this morning.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, you're listening to KBLA 1580. We'll be back in a moment.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Good morning and thank you for joining us on this Thursday. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information